Unreliable memory is the idea that you cannot trust everything your memory presents. Your memory can be altered for many reasons, whether that be time, trauma, or just forgetfulness. First, let's look at how our brain works with our memories. Our memories are stored in the hippocampus in the temporal lobe of our brain. The medial temporal lobe and the medial and lateral prefrontal cortex are the brain regions involved in the neurocognitive processes linked to the formation of true and false memories. Memory is a reconstructive and changeable idea. It is impossible to have a perfect recollection of events, and on top of that, the memories can be easily changed. Neuroscience research shows that memories are encoded by synaptic connections, but the strength of these connections change over time, causing the distortion of memories. Who is affected by unreliable memories? Everyone with normal everyday memories. This means that it isn't just a problem for people with brain injuries or disorders. Everyone is affected by the idea of not having a reliable memory, though the effects might be more severe for different age groups or people with memory disabilities. All human memory is still imperfect. What causes unreliable memories? The distortion of memory can occur in the 3 different stages of the neurocognitive memory processing. The encoding stage is the mental visualization and initial processing of the memory. This is where the imagery of the event can be changed. The consolidation stage is after the event has occurred and time goes by. New events can affect the memory recollection before it stabilizes to a singular story. The retrieval stage is when the memory needs to be retrieved and retold. The more times the memory is retrieved and retold, the more it is subject to changing. The PubMed article, An Overview of the Neurocognitive Process, expresses that perception and memory are imperfect reconstructions of reality. These reconstructions are prone to be influenced by several factors which may result in false memories. When are unreliable memories more common? In a stressful or traumatic event. In these situations, our brains tend to not completely process everything that is happening. This is more known as brain fog. This causes the recollection of the event to be hazy. The article, The Neuroscience of Memory Implications for the Courtroom, expresses that, especially in cases involving violence and high levels of stress, real traumatic memory, which can be disjointed, may sound unreliable to law enforcement personnel and to the general public and may therefore never make it to court. Where does unreliable memory have the biggest impact? In decision-making and making judgments based on a memory, which brings us to the criminal justice system and how an eyewitness statement can negatively change someone's life. We see how unreliable memory affects highly in mistaken eyewitness testimonies. These incorrect memory recollections have led to 75% of DNA exoneration cases of wrongfully convicted individuals. Why does our brain reconstruct memories? Our memories are unreliable due to the fact that we like predictable narratives, so our brain reconstructs the memory in order to fit that narrative. Those narratives usually want our brain to have a beginning, middle, and end to the story. This means that our brain may sometimes add or take out parts so that the memory fits the storyline. Memories are more subject to being false when the ending is unclear. Researcher Dominica Vargas stated that memories aren't like objective video recordings of the past, but heavily influenced by what we already know and believe about the world. By being aware of these biases, we can be more cautious when relying solely on memories for important decisions and think carefully about information before accepting it as the absolute truth. How can researchers test the reliability of our memories? This is being done by experimenting on groups of people to test their memories and recollections of events. They examine each stage of the memory processing and then look at how the memory changes after each stage. We see the idea of having an unreliable memory in the mystery novel The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson, with how the main character, Belle, is unable to remember the real events behind her mother's disappearance, and how after her mother comes back, she is also unable to properly remember the details of her entire time that she was missing. One event where this is shown is when Belle thinks about the events leading to her mother's disappearance. It is known that young Belle was left in her mother's car during the time her mother went missing. Belle's father told her that she was only left in the car for 15 minutes, which she believed, but she later remembers that she was in the car for many hours. This takes us back to how manipulation of a young person will change their versions of events to fit the high authority's narrative, as this narrative will most likely have a beginning, middle, and end, whether accurate or not. Another event where this is shown is when Rachel Price, Belle's mother, returns. Rachel comes back with little to no recollection of the time she was missing, and with the memory she did have, she wasn't sure of their accuracy, as she explains feeling brain fog. This shows the idea of how trauma can alter memories and can be seen as unreliable. Our brains love a good story, even if that means twisting the facts. So when you carry on with your life today, you might think back to this documentary and remember something I said, but maybe I never actually said it at all.